Hi everyone, welcome to Illustrious Media. My name is Fushio, and tonight we're going to have a look at this new controversy that's unfolding around Marvel Studios executive Jeph Loeb, spelled Jeph-Loeb. And this whole thing came about from Daredevil actors Peter Shinkota, who played the villain, one of the villains in that show on Netflix, and his experience with the Marvel Studio executive Jeph Loeb. So this whole thing popped up on one of the actors groups I follow. Somebody posted up this article from Asian Dawn. I think it's one of these entertainment kind of like web outlets. And just based on reading it, it's definitely not one of the mainstream ones. Mainstream as in like Screen Rant or Slash Film, stuff like that. So, and well, here's a headline, and it's pretty damning. Former VP of Marvel Studios, nobody gives a shit about Asians, quote. So you can have a read at that at the Asian Dawn article if you like. Again, the links are in the description. But I want to read this bit from Jeph Loeb's Wikipedia entry. And there is a healthy section down here regarding allegations of anti-Asian racism. So there's the page, scroll all the way down. Oh yeah, there's a man in question, Mr. Loeb. Oh God, there it goes. Now we're gonna focus on the last paragraph here, okay? During hashtag Save Daredevil Con panel for the Comic-Con at home on July 2020, Japanese-Canadian actor Peter Shinkota, who played recurring villain Nobu Yoshioka on Daredevil, alleged that Loeb forced the show's writers to drop proposed storylines, fleshing out Nobu and fellow recurring villain Madame Gao, reasoning that quote, nobody cares about Chinese people and Asian people, unquote. According to Shinkota, Loeb explained to writers that there were 3 previous Marvel movies, a trilogy called Blade that was made where Wesley Snipes killed 200 Asians each movie. Nobody gives a shit, so don't write about Nobu and Gao. Shinkota further alleged that he and Gao's actress, Wei Ching-ho, were not invited to the season 2 premiere of Daredevil. That seems a little bit cold and antisocial right there. Shinkota's comments were echoed by co-star Tommy Walker, who claimed that Daredevil and Defender showrunner Doug Petrie had previously pitched a multiracial Asian American version of Iron Fist to Marvel Television, but was ultimately rejected by Loeb. Shinkota's accusations prompted public backlash against Loeb, who has yet to respond to the allegations. So, now that we take a look at the what's actually written here. So per what they said in the Asian Dawn article, Asian Americans in general are not particularly surprised of this kind of crap at this point. And basically based on how just dirty and rotten Hollywood and the mainstream media elite has become, or rather has always been, as exposed by the likes of Weinstein, Les Moonves, and Matt Lauer, just to name a few, okay? This is like, none of this stuff is surprising, let's face it. But rather than just giving you the knee-jerk, like off the hip, just, this is shit, this is crap, this is racist reaction, I want to go through several layers here. I want to delve through several layers because I think this whole situation and what I have to say can benefit a lot of Asian American creators who are basically, many of whom are in kind of this mental block, okay, of this one-sided romance, whatever the hell you want to call it, this one-sided relationship they're trying to have with Hollywood, where they're trying to get noticed, they're trying to get the work in, and then consistently this is the crap they get. So I think if you're in that category, and I myself am also a writer, creator, and if you're in that category, you should definitely listen on, okay? You should definitely watch on, because I have a lot of things to say and a lot of content to bring you that could help you just get out of this stupid mindset. So the first layer I want to look at is the most obvious, that this is very recent. This is not a situation that's from 20 years ago, or 30 years ago, or 40 years ago. This is something that's happened within the last 5 years. Okay, so all the progress that you think that's been made, not quite. And not only is this very recent, but it's from the same woke, virtual signaling, hypocritical Hollywood elite braying on a daily basis about racism and social justice and all that other stuff they love to push and lecture people about on a soapbox. And not just any Hollywood elite, but the elite. Marvel, Disney. Yep. The Mouse House. Now, would it be fair to tar all of Marvel and Disney with, as I said, they're all fucked up in here? No, of course not. I mean, you saw like some of these writers, one day they're going to be running their own shows and all that stuff. So, they don't, the issue is not like every single human being is shitty, but it looks like the people who are in power, a lot of them still have this mindset. And this whole thing is also exemplary of the moral rot, hypocrisy, and absolute bullshit racial gatekeeping against Asians, especially full Asian males in Western media. And just right now, I want to, at this point, if any of my audience members are watching and you are actually in the Asia Pacific, like you're in Korea, Japan, China somewhere, and you're able to see this, you're in currently the largest entertainment market on the planet. And you're where Hollywood wants to milk all that money from. Do you really want to support these assholes that are marketing this stuff to you? I'm not saying do a just complete boycott. I'm saying start to really question whether or not when Hollywood comes knocking with a project, you should be shelling out for the ticket. Just saying. The next layer I want to peel is Jeph Loeb he's got the typical Hollywood elite mentality. And what I mean by that is that he's the kind of person, along with the rest of them, that thinks that their frame and their interpretation of the world is what the rest of the world should be looking to, should be drawing reference to. Just think about how insulting it is not just Asians, but the entire global audience who's recently, within the last week, shelled out their hard-earned money for Ghost of Tsushima, a full Japanese Asian cast set in medieval Japan. I made a video on this. You can see in the link right up, I think there. And this racist piece of shit thinks that he knows what everybody wants. Nobody gives a shit, he says. Sounds like he doesn't know shit, but that's just me. And here's a reality. And again, if you're an Asian creator, perk up here. This is for you. The reality is that the greater audience around the planet, not just North America, but Asia and Europe, they don't really care who the starring actor is on a project. And they're not in a position to stonewall, to let in, to keep out, or make any decisions on that fact either. What Ghost of Tsushima and a bunch of other projects, frankly, has shown is that what is important to the vast majority of the global audience is the universal appeal of the story and the conceit, the concept of the story, as opposed to the actors or the actresses involved. I'm not saying they have no effect, but I'm saying that the effect of the racial makeup of the actor and actress is marginal compared to how appealing the story is. So I want my Asian audiences, both here and abroad, to understand and recognize that this guy's mentality is still how many, if not most, of Hollywood and mainstream Western media sees us. Okay? I'm not talking about the society or the greater audience, because I just said I don't think they really care that much one way or another. But the people who do care and who are in the position of power to make those decisions, at least in Hollywood, do care. This is a great video interview that this channel I watch from time to time, Geeks and Gamers, put together with a Hollywood producer,
with another interview, and
Kamran Pasha. Okay, I'll put the link in the description below as well. But Mr. Pasha, he's a writer, showrunner, producer in Hollywood. And one of the things he basically shed light on in this interview, I'll just paraphrase real quick because, it's a long interview, it's an hour, is that when you're a minority writer in a writer's room in Hollywood, you see, there's only one slot for you, and they bring you on, and you don't really get much say in what happens. What happens is the writer's room, the executive producer, whoever he or she might be, they have a storyline set. And there's a character of your racial or ethnic background who is going to be, who has a storyline kind of set already. And what you're brought in to do is to do the touch up, to bring a little more context, but you're not really allowed to touch and mess around with like the actual story or the development of the character. And if you give people too much trouble, you're going to be gone pretty quickly. And even if you just perform, damn well at your job, what usually happens is you will not get promoted. You will not get put into a position where you get to be a showrunner down the line very easily. They will hustle you through, and then they'll bring another person to fill the slot, another diversity or token hire, and this is what happens. And again, the people that do these things are the ones virtue signaling about racism and social justice day in, day out. So you can take a look at that video. There's just a lot of good stuff there. So with that in mind, okay, the questions I want Asian creators to really ask themselves is this. Do you think begging and cajoling the Hollywood elites that think like this for a seat at the table is going to change things? If you ever get that seat at the table? You see, when you're begging people or anybody for anything, you're automatically ceding agency, ceding the ability to affect change on your own terms, to drive it. You're ceding agency and therefore the power and responsibility of action to those who do not see you as a full human being. Do you honestly think that taking this route of action is going to be the answer? It's going to solve the issue, solve the problem. Now, I may come across as high energy and intense just now, but rest assured, I'm not actually that mad. Maybe a few years ago I would have been pretty mad, but for now, you know why I'm not very mad? It's because I recognize that today, in 2020, the opportunities for Asians is far too great, or rather are far too great and immediate to be fixated on how shitty certain people in Hollywood are or how shitty Hollywood is. To the Asian creators out there, like me, writers and directors, particularly the writers who are writing high concept, action adventure, wide appeal, blockbuster type projects. And by the way, if you have the capacity to do that and you're not doing that, because you're afraid that Hollywood won't accept it or will never accept the Asian lead, rest assured, by the time I'm through with this video, you're going to know that you're leaving a lot of money and opportunity on the table by not doing that. But to my Asian creators out there, I'm going to throw you on the deep end with this mental exercise, okay? Imagine that this is 2022, summer. The summer movie season is about to start. Late May, early June. And imagine a city square in any of the large Asian metropolises, like Seoul, Tokyo, Hong Kong, Shanghai, Singapore. Imagine a massive city square where there are advertisements dropping off entire buildings. And on one side, you get a poster of the latest and greatest James Bond or Mission Impossible movie or whatever. And then on the other side, you see a brand new IP. And based on the trailers and teasers you've seen of it, it is developed with a great story, written with an awesome universe, and leads a full Asian male leading hero. And it is hanging off 60 feet tall, directly opposite of the expected Hollywood release. And they're going head to head that same opening weekend. Now, again, imagine this scene in all the major Asian metropolises. Who do you think the vast majority of young Asian male audiences are going to shell out for? Now, could it be that the Hollywood movie is going to beat this film? Sure. But I don't think any sane Hollywood executive will want to open their film against this one. You see, the reason I'm telling you to imagine this exercise is because there seems to be this confused misconception among Asians that Asians don't sell, that Asians don't put butts in seats. So you need to look at the movies that actually do well in Asia, that Hollywood does sell well over there. For reference, they just talk about the Fast and Furious movies, that franchise, and Mission Impossible. Okay? I'm not saying do anything so different. Just create IPs like Fast and Furious or Mission Impossible. Do it well, write the stories well, write the characters well, but make sure they're brand new and original, and just put someone that looks like you in it. Put a full Asian lead in it. Because these movies sell extremely well in Asia. So if the average Korean, Chinese, Singaporean, whatever, have no problem handing over their hard-earned money to watch Fast and Furious, Mission Impossible, Transformers, or the most recent Vin Diesel one, Bloodshot, what the hell makes you think they're going to keep the money in their pockets if they see exactly the same type of project, but with full Asian leads? Do you honestly think they will stay away? You see, Hollywood would like for you to believe that they will stay away. But think about this practically, that mental exercise. I know which one I'm going to be watching, and I love Mission Impossible. I love Bond. I'll watch them both, but the first movie I'm going to be watching that night, that weekend, is going to be that new IP starting a full Asian lead. So again, I really want to drive this point home with Asian creators. It is not the racial makeup of the actor or actresses or the stars that the greater audience, not just of North America, but of the world, cares about. They care about whether or not it's a good story, whether or not it's high concept and done well with universal appeal. So now imagine a whole slate of brand new high concept IPs with good stories, characters with Asian leads developed and executed to the same level as any Hollywood blockbuster. And when I say Asian leads, I don't mean excluding non-Asians. As I stipulated before, as someone who grew up in 3 different countries, okay, have worked with people all over and want to work with people of all kinds, that's not interesting to me. But the reason I'm talking about Asians is because I see a huge deficit in opportunities for Asian actors. Even after Crazy Rich Asians, the acting groups I'm in, the people there, the actors there are always just talking about how it's just they can't get any sort of projects. There are no roles out there. So now that I've given you that mental picture, okay, I want you to really understand. I want the Asian creators out there to understand trends, technological, social, and cultural, they move 3 times as fast in China and Asia. They really do. Whatever took like 9-10 years to get through and become passe here, it will take no more than 3 to 4, if that. And not just these trends, okay, and by sheer force of the market itself, when these trends change there, the market is going to change. The drive is going to change. Now, I know it may not seem like it based on how I came across in parts of this video, but the reason I'm not particularly triggered by this whole Jeph Loeb thing, aside from the fact that I wasn't surprised, is the fact that I know there's bigger fish to fry now. And I want all my Asian creators who are out there watching this to understand the same thing. You need to be getting down to work to create these IPs. Because the audience, the global audience, the Asia Pacific audience is ready to throw their money at you for the right project, developed the right way, and market it to them directly. If you're trying to go through Hollywood, they're not going to let you. You know why? Because they know this stuff will work, but it's not just about the money. Classically, if you were to advertise a product to a specific demographic, it will make full sense to make sure that the leading actor or actress or representative for your product is someone from that demographic. But you see, Hollywood knows this. The reason they're not doing this is because it's not about the money. You see, people keep saying it's about the money, but it's not. There are a few things that rank higher for human beings than money. And that is, money's here, power and status here. That's why instead of just simply creating brand new IPs that feature full Asians, where they could make a fuck ton more money in Asia, they're not doing it. Because it's not about the money. This is why you can't afford to be sitting on your ass looking to Hollywood for cues to see what they'll let you have, to fight to stay in their room, at their table. Why? It's a small ass room, like it or not. That's the reality of it. That bamboo wall you see, that you think you see, the bamboo ceiling, is not this. It's this. 30-mile zone, TMZ, this. That's what it is. Hollywood wants you to be a sheep that is psychologically conned into thinking that you have to go through this little fucking hole to greet the wider audience. Why bother? The audience is there. They're your customer. They got the money. And what I'm really trying to drive at here is that you need to see there's urgency now, okay? There's urgency. They are ready. They're ready to take the right projects into the stratosphere. We're not talking about, like 100 million people in the United States or North America. We're talking about 2 billion people across Asia Pacific. And there are idiot Asian representatives in American media that still thinks, oh, those people, they don't speak English, they have nothing to do with us. Do you honestly think that companies like Skydance, Paramount, Warner Brothers, Disney, Marvel give two shits about whether the people speak English or not? Why are they bending over 6 ways backwards to get into that market if that language barrier was an issue? First of all, you'd be surprised at the sheer percentage of Asian people who can understand English. A lot of them are being taught that at a grade school level. And the rest of them don't mind reading the subtitles so long as the project is fun, it's done right, it's done well. If they're willing to shell out money for Transformers, starring Mark fucking Wahlberg, trust me, you do something of a similar quality, well, bad example, you do something done to the similar fidelity, but with good stories and good characters, they will give you their money. Hollywood need not be involved. But understand that developing content, developing IPs, creating IPs, developing characters, these things take time. And that is the urgency I'm talking about. That is the urgency I'm talking about. You guys need to get down to work right now. Okay? And get ready to meet the audience directly. They're there. And that bamboo wall, read the bamboo fucking circle, irrelevant. You see, Superseding Hollywood is not just some feel-good line or, oh yeah, we're gonna go past them and rah rah rah. It is a slap upside your head as to the real and present opportunities for Asian creators and talent. Right now, 2020, especially in this time when productions come to a freeze, I have it on good authority. I speak to guys who create IPs, who sell them. Right now, because money is being basically not spent on production, it's being spent on development. Okay? You need to be developing this stuff. Asia is already moving towards this direction. You got to understand that things in China/Asia moves like cultural, technological, social trends moves at like 3 times the speed as they do here. For example, we went through VCR, then DVD, then HD DVD, Blu-ray, and then cable box, and now we're on streaming. Technically, cable box was kind of streaming, okay? They were at VCR. They made a pit stop at DVD or video CD, VCDs, and then they marched right the fuck onto streaming. Skip DVD, skip HD DVDs and cable boxes altogether. They're ready. Are you? You should be getting ready. Because there's a vacuum of blockbuster IPs. There's a vacuum of blockbuster IPs featuring Asian casts, Asian characters, Asian lead roles. China has the money and the skill set now and all the practical like material, technological know-how to do all this stuff. But the problem is that they don't know how to tell a story that is appealing to the greater world. That's a problem Asian American creators and writers do not have because you were raised in this world. You know how to put together a project that sells. But you've been psychologically conditioned to believe that if you put someone that looks like you in that project, particularly in the lead role, particularly as a full Asian male lead, it wouldn't sell. Go back to that mental exercise about that massive billboard poster in a downtown city square in a major Asian city. Do you honestly think all those people would not give you their money if you created something that's of the same quality as Mission Impossible but features somebody that looks like them? Do you honestly believe that? See, that is the horseshit Hollywood's trying to sell you, that they wouldn't. So fuck the middlemen like Jeph Loeb of Hollywood. This next couple years is going to make them irrelevant. Asian creators out there, or non-Asian creators out there who want to make a fuck ton of money, create and market directly to the customer. You got 2 billion people chomping at the bit to see themselves as the lead roles for the next blockbuster franchise. Get after it. Supersede the middleman that is Hollywood and get after it. Build, market, and appeal directly to the consumer. And with that, thank you very much for joining me with this video. And if you like and want to support the content, definitely hit subscribe. Hit the little bell as well. Post your reactions down there. Do you agree with what I said? Do you agree with the whole changes coming into the industry? I would love to hear from you. And once again, for my non-Asian viewers, this is definitely targeted towards more Asian audiences because of the nature of the video. But just remember, it's a huge market. They're being underserved, okay? And they want to give you their money as long as you meet their needs. Thank you very much for joining me with this. And this is Fusho with Illustrious Media. Have a good night.